I'm talking about temporal requirements today. We worked a lot on the notions of time and processes. And what we found out is that actually part of what we are doing is to manage temporal requirements. And so for ICSOFT, I thought that this is probably a good thing to start with to talk about temporal requirements because in the beginning of every software project, there are requirements. And in the beginning already is a temporal notion. And we find temporal requirements everywhere. The question is, how can we deal with them? So the first part, I want to talk what are temporal requirements. And here I start with a cartoon of Gary Larson, and you see, to remember the morning, first the pants, then the shoes. This is already a temporal requirement which tells you about the temporal relation of certain activities. Now, here typically you would not consider that as a temporal requirement, but already being able to talk about the before and then after, about the precedence of events and activities is a temporal notion. This is a temporal notion we know best, but there are a lot of other temporal requirements. And I give you some examples. Now, we all know, well, you can do PCR tests. And before you can do the PCR test in Austria, you have to register at the website. So only if you are registered, you get the test. Again, this is a temporal relation between activities. But it can also have some quantitative notion, like in Austria, for attending, for example, a restaurant, you need a PCR test, and the PCR test is only valid for 72 hours. So it means after 72 hours of a PCR test, access to some sites is simply prohibited. Okay, this is a temporal requirement. Or if you don't have to test, if you get a COVID vaccination, and here the rule is that you don't need a test if the second vaccination is more than 21 days ago. Okay, so these are actual temporal requirements, but not only for COVID, we find them everywhere. A typical presentation at the conference is 20 to 25 minutes. So you have an interval here. Another interval is money transfer between accounts in the European Union lasts up